Hi, this is Tracy Taylor with the Wasatch Taxpayers Association. We're doing candidate interviews for the Heber City Council primary election for 2019. If you want more information about Wasatch Taxpayers Association, you can go to wasatchtaxpayersassociation.com. We've got Mike Johnston with us, and he's going to talk to you about why he's running and also where people can reach you or learn more about you.
Okay, so great, thanks for inviting me. I've never done something like this before. I've never run for an election before. It seems odd to be running for city council in July. It's kind of uncomfortable. It's like, should we wait till October? But here we are with the primary. So my name's Mike Johnston. I am husband to Sheila, who is a school teacher. I'm a civil engineer. I am a father to Hannah, Matt, and Kate. Hannah is, I don't know if I should look at you. Hannah's in college. She's just finished her freshman year at BYU. My son Matthew is a senior at Wasatch High, and my daughter Kate will be a ninth grader at Wasatch High. So.
And why are you running? Why did you decide to run for office?
Great question. So I came to Heber City in 1993 as a single guy. Started working here when things Heber was at 5,000 people in 1993. And now we're in 2019. I think that 28 years later, so, you know, things are crazy. I have worked with the city since '95, gone through multiple renditions of growth and zoning and working with city councils and planning commissions. So I've been watching this, dealing with this for a lot of years. I think my opinion right now is that our city council has been, for many years, has been reactive instead of visionary. I think they typically sit here and wait for things to come, and then they react to it. And I really think with the growth that we have and that is continuing to come, the city council needs to get far out ahead of what's here. We can't be working in the weeds and worrying about the little things like the paint color, or we have to let the staff do that and get out ahead of things. And I believe, as a professional engineer working in Heber City for 26 years, I have a really good understanding of urban growth and planning, all aspects of engineering, public engineering, roads, sewer, water, water rights, water issues, zoning, good and bad, regulations, you name it. I own a business. I understand profit and loss, balance sheets, HR, how to hire and fire people, the important things of, you know, how to encourage people and how to bring your staff up. And so I think it's important to have that type of representation. I think we want a representative council that has all types of people. So that's what I can offer is the nuts and bolts and the understanding of the good and bad of how cities grow. And I see a lot of bad in Heber City that's happened, and I think we need to get ahead of it. When I came here 25 years ago, we were still talking about citywide storm drains, and we still don't have that. We still don't have curb, gutter, and sidewalk in the downtown core of the old blocks. You know, they're languishing. We just keep kicking this can down the road. And so what we get is parks that are detention basins, leftovers, and things like that. And I think we need parks and trails. We need to preserve our open space. I'm an advocate of density over sprawl. I think all growth should happen in the cities. And I'm an advocate of density in the town. And preserve and at least delay this sprawling nature of our growth. Not everybody needs a home on a half acre, or even a quarter acre. Okay. And certainly not on 5 acres.
Okay.
So that's why.
Well, explain, tell the people where they can reach you, or where they can learn more about you.
You can come visit me in my office, 55 West Center. You can give me a call on the phone, 435-671-6998. I do have a website. It's not ready. I've just started on it. It's called ilikemike.cc.
Okay.
So that's kind of fun.
Great, great. Well, let me ask you a philosophical question about how you already brought up the fact that the city council's reactionary But my question is, where do you think some of those decisions should be originated? Expenditures and policy. Should the city council be the ones directing staff and the manager on where they see that vision? Or do you think that the manager and the staff should bring things to the city council and then basically the council is just supporting the staff? Where do you think some of that vision?
I think the vision comes from the council. They're the elected officials. That's why I think we need a broad council, a council with vision, and to lead forward. I think the staff, I think we have great staff, professional, educated, trained. They got a lot of history, many of them, and I think we have to let them do their job, but their job should be based on the policies and the guidance and the vision of the council ahead of them. Setting policies and rework and setting zones, redoing master plans, looking at things and changing them when needed. I don't mind a staff member. They have good information too, and I think it's fine for them to also offer, hey, here's my idea. That would be great. So I think everybody can offer ideas, but in the end, the city needs to vision forward. The city council needs to lead forward. There's a lot of things I don't think they need to even be, it should go on the consent agenda. Lot line adjustments, 2-lot subdivisions. There's no reason to waste time, city council time, in the weeds on things that staff can take care of. I think city council should be ahead of staff.
Okay. There's going to be a couple issues that are really important to citizens.
Yeah.
And
great issues.
We need to get the information to the citizens. People have been very opinionated about certain issues, and so we're trying to get yes or no answers as best as we can on a couple big issues. One is the airport expansion. Can you see yourself voting for an airport expansion in the next 4 years if you get elected, or would you not? Also, we're doing a master plan for the airport, so that's going to take about a year. That's going to come out a little later. But what would that master plan have to say for you to consider expanding the airport? Or do you think we need to or not?
Okay. I know a lot of people in this valley. You do too. Maybe thousands. I don't know one single person that wants to expand the airport. And I don't either. If we voted to, if there was no airport, we would not vote for an airport. I wouldn't. But we have an airport. Heber City owns the airport ground, owns most of it. We manage the airport, and the FAA funds the airport. And we're stuck with they make most of those decisions. If we can keep the airport low key and safe and not spend money on the airport as a city out of general funds, but if the airport can pay for itself, then I think that's the best we can do. The FAA, we have to find a balance between the needs of the citizens, the desires of the citizens for a low-key airport, and the requirements of the FAA. And that's my answer. So I'm not for expanding the airport. I am for airport safety, and if that includes, which the FAA may demand, if that includes widening the runway, then we have to do that. But I'm not for expanding the airport with bigger planes, more noise, more air pollution. Nobody's for that.
Okay. The bypass, we just were in a UDOT meeting last week where UDOT talked about their EIS study and what that process was going to be. There will be public input all through the process, but basically they said they're going to determine preferable routes. So I'm not going to ask you where you think it should go. What I do want to know though is, do you think we need one?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
And so I won't even finish that question. So,
And go ahead.
tell me why you think we need one.
We are at over 30-something thousand, average 30,000 vehicle trips a day on a road that can support 25, 26,000, and we won't even have a bypass for at least 8 years. It might be more. I don't think so, but because we can't wait any longer. You cannot talk on Main Street without yelling at each other this close. It has to be moved. Main Street has to be, the highway must be moved off of Main Street, or Main Street is a goner. There's no hope for Main Street if we can't move the traffic off. Nobody even, you don't even try and turn left on Main Street anymore. You only go to a light or turn right. And we've pushed off, you know, I take first west and first east all the time. And so does everybody else. I can't sometimes back out of my building on West Center Street because there's 10, 20 cars moving off of Main Street. So we're already sort of self-selecting. I avoid Main Street at all costs. I always use Mill Road, Coyote Lane. And so we're already trying to take that care of that individually. But we are moving from 36,000 people in this county to 60,000 people in this county in the next 20 years. And that's almost a doubling of the traffic on Main Street, so.
So you're not concerned about any merchants losing business off of Main Street or
Absolutely
taking?
not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
We don't have business on Main Street, any other business, because no one will come to Main Street. It's too difficult.
Okay.
Do we shop on Main Street? I try to.
I do.
There's a great Slim and Nobbies that just went in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You just can't.
Okay. The general plan, we're updating our general plan for Heber City, and we've already done the Envision 2050 and tried to get information, you know, input from the public. It's going to take another year or so to work on this master plan. My question to you is, are you willing to follow it once it's done? Do you feel like that is the new zoning and density requirements and allotments to developers? Or do you think invariably when the developer does come to ask for more density, which that's what they do, are you going to possibly give them more than what the master plan will say?
So I'm totally 100% behind this push that's been brought forward in Vision Heber City. I've participated in all that. You have too. I filled out the survey 25 times. I'm kidding. Only one time.
Vote early and vote often.
That's right. Vote early, vote often. No, you only get one survey and then it's discounted.
Yeah.
Master plan. Yeah. If we come up with a good master plan, which I'm expecting, absolutely we'll follow the master plan. Maybe I'll get to be a part of that. I'm hoping I'm part of that master planning process. I don't think we will have a master plan done by November. I don't even think we'll start it this year. So yeah, I want to participate in the master plan. I do think master plans do change over years. You can't have a master plan. Our last master plan was 20 years ago. So we're redoing a master plan. So master plans are not set in concrete, but yeah, they do guide where we're going. Density. I'm not for giving any density out without something back to the city. There's a lot of things we can get in this city that we could have gotten the last 20 years if we had done it right, but we didn't. You can get a lot of open space. You can get trails and parks and green belts. You can get a lot of improvements with density, but you just don't give it away. We give, cities have, and Heber cities had ordinances that have given density for architectural designs or affordable housing fees. You know, we can give density away for fees too. Sell it. If we're going to get density, let's get something back for it. I think there's ways to preserve open space, even preserve North Fields with density bonuses that are paid for. If we're going to densify our downtown, which I believe we should do, and keep people downtown, you don't give away you don't give away to the land speculators. You sell it to them.
Okay.
It's a win-win.
And you're talking about TDRs, which we both looked into it, and we weren't sure that would be viable in our valley.
Viable.
How?
there's a huge need a huge desire to preserve open space, particularly the ag space of the North Fields. Nobody, okay, maybe 100 people want to densify the North Fields. I don't. But the county's done nothing. TDRs work if there's a place to put. TDRs being transfer of density rights. It works if there's a receiving zone to put that density. The county has not created a receiving zone. They don't want to create a receiving zone. And I agree with that. Density should not be in the unincorporated county. It should be in the city. It should be in the core of the city. It should be where we have a bypass coming. It should be between the city and the bypass. It should be all those places. And that density can fund, the city can actually be on the funding and receiving end of the funds and go out and buy easements off the North Fields.
Okay.
Not forced easements, but bought easements.
Right, right.
Private, personal choices by property owners.
Okay. This next question I've asked every single candidate. If you are elected, do you foresee any conflicts of interest that you may have moving forward? Because the mayor does bring it up every night.
Which is really great.
Which, you know, you look at the agenda and
Yeah.
she asks, does anybody have a conflict of interest? So,
yeah, I thought about that a lot. Elected officials should always be aware of potential conflicts between their personal interests and the interests of the public. So, public officials, and whether they're elected or appointed or hired. I mean, so officials, elected, hired, appointed officials, you know, they should have service. They need to always consider service to the public above their personal interests.
Right.
And that also includes recognizing and distinguishing between specific, special interests of individuals versus the general interests of all their constituents.
right. So you have done work for the city too in the past.
Only really minor stuff like
Where?
the Valley Hills retaining wall that fell over about 8 years ago. I designed a retaining wall for where the tennis court park is.
Okay.
We've done some land survey for the city, you know, $2,000 and less kind of things.
Okay.
Probably not more than $20,000 over the last 18 years.
So
Right
did
now-
you work out at the airport as well?
Oh yeah, we designed. Yeah, that was our biggest. We designed that airport public works building.
So how would that work if?
Well, we went honestly. If I'm elected, when I'm elected, let's hope, we will not do work for the city. I mean, a public official. If I was a public official, you need to recognize and recuse yourself from those types of potential conflicts.
So not just you, but your company as well would
Yeah.
recuse themselves from any
Well,
bidding
okay.
for the city?
Yeah, we don't work for the city anyway. They have almost everything they've asked. It's like, hey, this is a little project. They don't want to go out to a bid. It's too expensive. They just say, what would it cost to do this? I'll give you an example. We're scanning all of thousands of pages of old documents so they can throw them away on a big scanner. I've got a couple high school kids doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not making any money on that. We're just
That's not.
we're employing some high school kids.
Right. No, I'm talking mostly about your engineering business.
Yeah, we honestly we do almost zero work for the city. The city doesn't ever pay us. It's minimal.
So there's no other reason.
The contract for scanning is $1,700.
So there's no other reason you would need to recuse yourself outside of that
Oh.
engineering business then?
Well, no, actually there's a lot of conflicts people have. You know, gifts, campaign contributions. Those create conflicts. Honestly, my wife disagrees and she'll be mad at me, but I'm not taking campaign contributions because I don't want someone sitting in the audience that gave me $50 and saying, hey, you owe me.
Okay.
I think campaign contributions poison the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, city officials need to be sure they don't use non-public information for their personal benefit.
Right.
And we need to make sure we don't want to do a deal or be nice to a friend. We all have friends, you know. I'm in Rotary. I've been a scout leader. I'm a member of a church with a lot of friends.
Right.
You have to say, you know, can I really distinguish and not let that relationship influence me? So
Okay.
not just me, but everybody has those conflicts.
Okay.
the other thing, as an engineering firm owner, but I also represent clients to the city sometimes. Not all the time, but I mean, we work all over Utah. But I can't do that, you know. I cannot vote or even to really discuss issues that my firm's working on as a council person. I must recuse myself and step out of the room.
Okay.
And I understand that.
Okay. So there's two kind of politicians, I think. There's those that really try and execute the wishes of the public and their constituents. And then there's other politicians that say, you know what, you elected me, let me do my job, I'm going to do my best to represent the people. And where do you fall in there? Do you have an opinion about that?
It's both. In a way, but we do have a representative democratic republic, so we don't ask the citizens to vote on everything or to even understand everything. Most citizens don't understand much of what's going on in the city, and they don't care. They really don't. Maybe 20%, only what, 20, 30, 40% vote. So,
right.
But I think we do expect, we represent, we elect people that are like us, that we feel have traits, experience, education, knowledge, wisdom to represent us, and then we hope they'll do a good job. But honestly, how often do we really, and you do a great job, and I do too, seeing what they do, but most people don't.
Right.
But I do think it's wise to listen to them. A perfect example was last night with the Phase B bypass going past the cemetery. There's a lot of people there that were unhappy, and the city council listened to them and changed their mind. And that was important. You must be willing to change your mind when people give you the information. But I think a really wise city council person understands both sides of the issue and isn't just an advocate for my side, because it really isn't your side. It shouldn't be your side. It should be the best side, or the side that meets the needs of the city and the public, the most people.
Okay.
Without hurting the minority, by the way. We don't hurt minorities in this country by democracy.
Yeah.
Minority views.
Right. Okay.
So, sorry, power poles is one example.
Right.
I don't believe in putting power poles down somebody's front yard without helping them, compensating them in some way. Even though the rest of the city says, hey, I don't want to pay for that.
Right.
It's not fair. It's not fair if we put a bypass behind someone's house and we don't somehow mitigate that.
Right.
Financially or aesthetics or something. You can't put that burden on a minority and just say, hey, you know, we don't care. So.
Okay. Well, why don't you talk to the public and tell them why they should vote for you, and then also, you know, explain what you'd like to accomplish in the next 4 years if you're in.
I would appreciate your vote. Appreciate your vote. Yeah, I am looking at 4 years. Honestly, I think 4 years is a good term, and then get something done. If I can't do it in 4 years, I'm going to go away. I want to have a revitalization plan for the whole core blocks of Heber. It's not going to be done, but I want a plan. I want a plan for curb, gutter, sidewalk, storm drain. I want a master plan, transportation for our anticipated build out in 40 years. We have to start now. I want to emphasize more parks, more trails, connected trails and parks. I don't like parks that are detention basins and leftovers. People want those and are willing to, and we can get that with the proper zoning and proper density. How much time do I have? Open space, I really do I want to come up with a plan to preserve the North Fields with the growth in Heber City. I don't believe the county will do it. They haven't done it in 20 years. And someone's got to do it. So that's another thing I want to do. There's probably one more, but those are the four main things I would like to do.
Great.
I'm willing to listen to people. I really am. I understand the difficulty of it. I want to do it. I'll do a great job.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for listening. And look for all 8 candidates, and hopefully this has been a help for you to decide. Thank you.